Hollywood has a rule nobody puts in writing, but everybody knows. Keep your faith to yourself. Bring up Jesus, and you'll find out real fast just how short the industry's memory is. Roles dry up, agents go quiet, the party invitations stop coming. These 8 celebrities found that out the hard way. They spoke up anyway, and what they lost in fame they found in something the studio system can never hand you. Let's start with the man who knew exactly what he was giving up the moment he said yes. Jim Caviezel was the kind of actor Hollywood loves. Handsome, serious. The kind of leading man studios build franchises around. His turn in The Count of Monte Cristo had agents lining up. Then Mel Gibson called him with an offer that would change everything. I picked up the phone. I said, "Yeah?" I was busy. And he goes, "Hey, Jim, it's Mel." And I said, "Mel who?" He goes, "I don't know, Mel Brooks." Then came the question, "Do you still want to play this Jesus guy?" Gibson wasn't extending an opportunity. He was handing Jim a grenade, and he made sure Jim understood that before he pulled the pin. "If you do, you may never work in this town again." Jim stood at the edge of that cliff for a moment. Career on one side, something he couldn't quite name on the other. And then the decision made itself. I was scared for a moment. And then this peace came over me. I could feel it. It was from heaven. And I said, "Look, man, we're all called to carry our cross. If you don't pick up and carry your cross, you will be crushed by the weight of it." The Passion of the Christ went on to gross $612 million worldwide. And Gibson was right about everything else. 2 agents dropped Jim. His lawyer walked. The studio stopped calling. He went from being one of the 5 most in-demand actors in Hollywood to someone the industry pretended didn't exist. He suffered a lightning strike on set, a separated shoulder, and nearly bit his own tongue clean off. He later said it simply, "It forced me into the arms of my God because I had nowhere else to go." Today he's preparing to play Jesus again in Gibson's sequel. The man Hollywood buried came back. That tends to happen when God is the one doing the planning. But losing a career is one thing. The next man on this list risked something even more personal. His marriage, his image, his identity. Terry Crews built everything on strength. NFL player, action star, 250 pounds of Hollywood cool. The last thing anyone expected from him was vulnerability. But behind the image was a secret he had been carrying since he was 9 years old. A pornography addiction that had followed him for nearly 2 decades and was quietly destroying his marriage. When his wife finally confronted him, her response stopped him cold. She was like, "No. In fact, I want to stay, but I gotta go. I got to go." That was the moment this giant of a man picked up his phone and called his pastor. Something the younger version of himself never would have considered. Growing up in Flint, Michigan, in a strict religious home with an alcoholic father, Crews had learned that vulnerability was the enemy. Real men didn't ask for help. Real men absorbed the pain and kept moving. But watching his wife walk out of that room taught him something his father never could. Knowing there were times I would come home and she'd be in tears, and I know it was because of me. That hurts a woman. That's to the core. So instead of protecting his image, he blew it up. He went public about his addiction and invited every man struggling with the same thing to stop hiding. The more you try to hide it, the stronger it gets. But when everybody knows your issue, you sweep it away. Today, Crews credits his wife's prayers for holding their marriage together through the storm. The toughest man in the room turned out to be the one who finally admitted he couldn't do it alone. Now, from football fields to fashion runways, Kylie Basutti had everything the modeling world tells you to want. A Victoria's Secret Angel contract at 19, campaigns worth millions, a face the entire industry recognized. Then something shifted. A lot of things led up to my decision. But the main thing was growing in my faith and my relationship with the Lord. Also, being a newlywed. I just really want my body to be for my husband. So she did the thing nobody saw coming. She walked away from Victoria's Secret at the absolute peak of her career. Agents called her crazy. The industry shook its head. But Kylie had done the math and arrived at a different answer than everyone around her. I just feel like I can be more honoring to God by doing this and be a better role model to younger girls. She's honest about the fact that it wasn't a clean trade. Walking away from one set of pressures didn't mean walking into zero pressure. I definitely feel pressure. I felt pressure even being a Victoria's Secret model and doing lingerie as well. I think there's pressure on both sides. But her mind was made up, and she's never moved off it. I just don't want to be a symbol. I don't want to be selling. She traded millions for meaning, and she's never looked back. Speaking of trading the world's applause for something better, Kathy Ireland graced the cover of Sports Illustrated for 13 consecutive years. She was the face of the 80s and 90s, famous for her looks, celebrated for her career, and quietly empty in a way she couldn't explain. I was successful by the world's standards, but I felt like something was missing. That something turned out to be Jesus. Ireland didn't come to faith through a crisis or a rock-bottom moment. She came through reading, through sitting with Scripture and following the logic of it all the way to the end. As I opened and started reading, my life was forever changed. I just knew that what I was holding in my hands was the truth. From that moment on, she knew exactly what her platform was for. She began speaking openly about pro-life issues, even when it cost her friendships inside the industry. She never apologized for it. Today, she runs a billion-dollar business empire and funnels her success into crisis pregnancy centers and into speaking truth to a culture that needs to hear it. The supermodel found her real purpose, and it had nothing to do with a camera lens. Now, from California beaches to Middle-earth, Sean Astin grew up as Hollywood royalty, son of Patty Duke, stepson of John Astin. Acting was the family business. Faith was not. I was raised in a very secular household. God wasn't part of the conversation at home. But then came the role that quietly opened a door Astin didn't even know was there. Playing Samwise Gamgee in The Lord of the Rings, Astin spent years inside J.R.R. Tolkien's world. And Tolkien's world, it turns out, is saturated with Christian themes: sacrifice, friendship, the fight against darkness at a cost you can't fully calculate in advance. Those themes didn't stay on the page. They made him want to explore Christianity for himself. That exploration led to conversion, and then to something he describes with a quiet kind of reverence. My wife and I spent a summer reading the entire King James Version of the Bible from beginning to end. We actually got Alexander Scorby's audio version, and we read and highlighted and went through every word of the Bible. The hobbit who carried Frodo up Mount Doom found the ultimate treasure. Not in the Shire, not on a screen, in a relationship with Jesus Christ. And while we're talking about unexpected journeys, Dennis Quaid's story begins in a very different kind of darkness. In the 80s, Quaid was everywhere. Top Gun, The Right Stuff, Great Balls of Fire, Golden Boy status, Hollywood edition. He was also snorting 2 grams of cocaine a day. I thought I was functioning, but I was dying inside. He'd grown up Baptist in Texas. Faith was part of the landscape of his childhood. Then Hollywood arrived, and he quietly left it behind, assuming that's what success required. The real turning point came the day his young son stumbled onto his drug stash. I remember going home and having kind of a white light experience. I saw myself either dead or in jail or losing everything I had, and I didn't want that. Recovery brought him back to Christ, not as a ritual or a routine, but as a relationship, something alive and present and worth building a life around. Today he produces and stars in faith-based films including I Can Only Imagine. But more than any project, what he'll tell you he's found is peace. That's really what we're looking for. The joy of life, which is our gift. That's the relationship with God that we all have at the bottom of it. The joy of being alive. But what happens when faith challenges the image your entire career was built on? Kate Upton was Sports Illustrated's definition of a bombshell. Cover star, actress, millions of followers. Her look was the brand. But the woman famous for her body wanted something more personal to define her. She was at a photo shoot one day, wearing a crossed necklace her mother had given her, when someone on set made a joke about it. Then they took the necklace and set it aside. I was really affected by that. The whole thing made me realize that I do want a cross with me at all times. So she made it permanent. She got a cross tattooed on her finger, because a tattoo is the one thing nobody can take off you at a photo shoot. You have to think hard with a tattoo. What will I love for the rest of my life? Her answer was clear, and it had nothing to do with magazine covers. And then there's Brooke Shields. She grew up in the spotlight before she was old enough to understand what that meant. Sexualized in films as a child, a global superstar before she was a teenager, and completely lost inside an industry that treated her like a product. I was evidently their master plan, which is ridiculous. But it's all about what's going to sell. Years of therapy, a public battle with postpartum depression, personal crises that became tabloid fuel. The applause never stopped, and it never helped. Then, later than most people would expect, faith arrived. I found God later in life. It gave me the peace I'd been searching for my whole career. The little girl Hollywood turned into a commodity finally found something the industry never offered her. Something that couldn't be packaged, sold, or taken away when the next face came along. 8 stories, 8 different roads. But follow any one of them long enough and you end up in the same place. Standing in front of something that matters more than any role, any contract, or any cover ever could. Hollywood tells you that faith is a liability. These 8 people discovered it's the only asset that doesn't depreciate. If their stories moved you, share this with someone who needs to hear it today. And make sure you subscribe. And it's because Just God Things is just getting started.